The XY Advisor podcast is intended for professional financial advisors. This content is created in partnership with our sponsor, Net Wealth Investments Limited, ABN 85090 569 109, AFSL 230975, and is limited to publicly available information. Before acting on any general advice, you should consider whether appropriate and obtain financial advice from a qualified financial advisor. XY Advisor does not hold an AFS license and does not provide any financial advice or services or endorse any general advice. If a PDS or IM exists, you should obtain a copy and review it thoroughly before making a decision.
AdviceTech. As if it wasn't enough to be across TMDs, Alpha, Beta, Rule of 72 and all the other nuances of financial advice. Now, advisors are expected to be across all the technology options too, and there's so many of them. But never fear, Peita D is here. Join me each week on a journey of discovery through the software and apps on offer for advisors and advice businesses. So let's dive in, fellow advice explorers.
This episode is brought to you by NetWealth, market-leading providers of technology, excellent customer support and expertise to help your wealth business thrive. Rated number 1 for overall satisfaction and value for money by Investment Trends and Chant West's Advised Product of the Year for the last 4 years, NetWealth is here to support you on your advice technology journey. See wealth differently and visit the website to learn how NetWealth can support your advice and wealth business.
Hello and welcome to the XY Advice Tech Podcast. I'm Peita Diamantidis, and joining me here today to deep dive into the Lonsec iRate tool is a UK import, you'll be able to tell by her accent, and someone with some serious client services experience. Thank you so much for joining me on the show, Hannah Bevan. Woo!
Thanks, Peter, and it's great to be here.
You are very welcome. Now, super keen to dive into all things iRate, but let's just get to know you a little bit before we do that and how you use technology. So what's your most used emoji? Do you use emojis?
Yes, I do use emojis. I think they're the pretty easy way of getting explanations across pretty quickly. So most used one is definitely going to be the thumbs up, especially in the work environment. It's easy on Teams just to answer something with a thumbs up. If it was more, I suppose, on my mobile, generally it's probably going to be a smiley face or the love hearts, or if someone else gets hold of my phone, a little one, that's probably going to be poos and unicorns. But that's their fun and games, isn't it?
Right. Don't you love the generational difference? I actually think there's also a cultural difference too. So I think in Australia that we use thumbs up a lot. Like that's the mate, like it's a representation of that Aussie expression. Mm-hmm, so we've clearly indoctrinated you. I'm very happy about that.
Been here too long.
Exactly. Now, how about your smartphone? If you had to delete all of what I am betting is quite a few apps on your smartphone and you could just keep 3, what would you keep?
Tricky one. I think for me, it would definitely be something like WhatsApp, so you can keep in touch with people. So it's an easy way of, again, doing that. Probably a music app like Spotify, so you've just access to music, podcasts and everything, so you've still got that set up. And then third one for me, probably a bit different to some people, is an app called Tiny Beans.
Yep.
It's kind of like a curated social media platform that allows you to post pictures and milestones of your children, and you just select who it is. So with family and friends all over the world, that's a really important one that we all share, so we can keep up to date with what all those little nieces and nephews are up to as well.
So that's sort of an alternative to just having a WhatsApp group and everybody getting all of these posts and all of that sort of craziness.
Yeah, it's an app you go in when you want to have a look at it, but also it's better than the sort of Facebook, Instagram, where anyone can see it as well, I guess.
Yeah, okay. Tiny Bean. I like it. I've noted that down actually for some friends of mine who I'm sure could benefit from that, because everybody's a bit hesitant sharing photos and comments on kids and what they're doing.
Exactly,
you know, we're all aware that can be a little dangerous, can't it?
Yeah.
Perfect. Oh, I love it when I get an idea for a new app. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So let's dive in. So starting, just broadly for iRate, what category does that generally fall under? Who do you sort of compare yourselves against? What other tools would somebody be looking at as a comparison to iRate?
Yeah. So Lonsec, as probably aware, is a research house investment consulting business. So iRate is the software that's housing that research and the tools to help advisors construct, manage their portfolios, assist in determining the appropriateness of products for their clients. So really, I suppose if you're going to be comparing us to somebody, you're going to be looking at the likes of Morningstar, Zenith, SQM Research, sort of the other major research houses that have their own tools and portals as well.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And I guess what is starting to come up though as well is these sort of more narrow tools as well, like your Ethos ESG. These people are doing these really narrow filtering ones as well, right? So and that's a new sort of development.
It depends what you're looking for. I suppose Lonsec, we've got the broad spectrum. We're covering managed funds, super funds via our super ratings business. We've got ASX 200 coverage, ETFs, listed incomes. We've got the whole suite. And then you've got those more specialist ones, especially I suppose coming into that ethical, sustainable area as well. So it's a changing environment, but traditionally the bigger research houses cover all aspects.
Yeah, fair enough. So I'm betting then that your normal user is either advisors or paraplanners in that sense for this sort of tool in financial advice. Are there users in many, advice practices that are sort of broadening the team that use the tool? Are there, you're finding that there's a broader use as maybe people use more admin resources or even VAs or anything like that there's sort of a more training happening of other members of the team?
Definitely. I think iRate can apply to a number of different areas, especially in advice practice. You're right, it'd be the advisor primarily, then the paraplanner, back office support to get that information and research out, construct their portfolios, their recommendations. You can then have other people going and get the information. But I think also its reach is bigger than that. You've got the licensees that are also using it for their APL management.
Yeah, okay.
Their research teams using it for their, constructing the APL, the IC committees, things like that. So it can go up or down, scale up and down, depending on the size of the business as well. And then also you've got, even internally within Lonsec, we've got our own research analysts and investment consulting teams using iRate for their peer comparisons of selecting products as well. So it does have a really broad reach. So you definitely have got, the IC committee aspects, APL management, as well as those compliance aspects as well are really important that other team members in a business advice practice would use it for.
Yeah, and I think it's something that we're probably not great at in financial advice is, there's layers of complexity of using a tool like iRate. But there are some things that somebody just with some direction and training can please go down, enter this and download that, there's some of those things. Yeah.
Exactly
some prep work.
I did that kind of training the other week with somebody who was sort of, looking at APL management for the IC committee. So they wanted to be able to get in. It was teaching them how to load that APL in as a product group, set up reports to come through to them automatically, be alerted for the rating changes and things. So all that aspect where she didn't need to be in iRate traditionally for the research aspects, but it was, for her, it was a game changer for APL management and automating those processes. So it can be applied across so many aspects of a business, definitely.
And sort of diving down that rabbit warren, and then it's I can see a lot of people probably use it as they need it. A lot of advice, oh, right, I'm doing this, in we go, instead of potentially batching some of that and letting a team member do a whole lot of things all in one hit, like you say, setting up some things in there that mean you've got your main list in there already. I'm imagining that's probably something people don't set up enough. Guys might see and go, you really could get more organised here.
I'd agree with that. I think iRate has a number of little features like that, sort of that seem quite simple, but if people were to set them up, it could really save them some time. And they're probably often overlooked because people get iRate initially, they need to access research. They're just going in, downloading those reports, doing it when they need to. But a few bit of time spent at the beginning setting up your APL, maintaining that, setting up the alerts so you can be notified when there is a rating change straight away. You're not having to go in and check the changes, and sharing that with every team members as well that are all using iRate with their own logins. You can share all that information so you're all working off the same set of data and only one person is managing it. It's all possible, and it's those little smarts that help anybody with any tech really be more effective, but probably all a bit guilty of not putting that time in to do it.
Well, because it does require you it's sort of looking above yourself, almost like bringing yourself above and going, hold on, I've just done that 20 times in 2 days.
Yes.
Wait a minute. Is there a way?
I'm going in every month and downloading the same information. Hang on, I can actually schedule that report to come to me on a set day every month if I set it up once, and it will come to my mailbox on a day. So it really can be that smart if you spend that time doing it. And maybe, that's an aspect we're looking at the moment. How can we help our clients actually be using that functionality better? How can we let them know it exists? Because, there is so much in iRate, and perhaps, it's communicating to you could do this and you can do that. So that's an aspect of we're focusing on at the moment as well for our clients to try and help them get iRate to work smarter for them.
And I think it's something that does happen in advice when, for lots of people, they're going to have this sort of core, call it a CRM or an advice tool that's this massive big system, and they're in it all the time. And so I think you do become a bit more aware of, gee, I should get more training on this or on that. But it's interesting with things like a research tool, we're actually in and out of those a lot, but I'm not sure we necessarily expend a lot of energy at doing that better. So
yeah, I think that's probably fair. And I mean, that's why we do have that client service, that training support function there to help people. So when they are trying to do something, if it's not working and they go, why do I keep repeating this? Is there a quicker way? They can get that training, they can get that support. We can help you set that first product group up with your APL, and then you can go away and do the rest you need to do. We do have that support available to try and help people use it better.
Yeah. And look, I'd encourage any listeners that are current users to take advantage of that. And even to the extent that I've started to put my hand up with some tools we use for almost like revisiting the beginner training, because the new beginner training talks about the new features, and I've probably missed some of those, so it's just exactly a bit of a refresh.
Yep, exactly that. And we've got the same, a regular webinar training program, but of course, someone who started, the subscription 5 years ago, we've brought so many things in. You almost do need to go back to the beginning and have that webinar to make sure you're catching all the new features, and are you really using it to its full potential, or are you just going in and doing what you were doing 5 years ago and not realize there's perhaps an easier, more efficient way now?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, sometimes one of the ways we even do it is we have support staff do something like a training like that with yourself or as a webinar, and some of it won't be relevant to them, but they pick up on such different detail to what we do, and they instantly see efficiency, and a support team or admin team, their lens is such, they're going to go, wait a minute, you mean I could do that in 2 steps instead of 12?
No, exactly.
And they're on it.
Yeah, and exactly that, we do see that. So again, if we've got especially new clients coming on board, we would say, don't just do the training yourself as the advisor, bring your team in who's going to be using it, because you'll all see different aspects. And it can often start discussions within the team as they're on the call, say, oh, hang on, if we did that, we could do that. And you can see those light bulb moments that it's actually beneficial as a whole practice to be in that room in the same session. So you can all see a bigger picture as well holistically. Yeah,
and it's like I say, when you're focusing on your core, you can spend a lot of time on your core tool. I think we probably do, these parallel sort of systems that we use a lot, but they're sort of to the side. We probably do them a bit of a disservice in that sense, because we don't apply nearly as much energy into A, understanding them, and B, keeping up to date with them.
Yeah, which is understandable as well. We're all guilty of that. We've all got those parallel systems we use, and it's just unfortunately human nature and the time we've got available, isn't it? So.
It is. So if we've got somebody who's curious about the tool and they're looking to sort of dive in, is there any practice or advisor it's particularly good for, or that you found it's not quite suited for? Or does it really suit across the board? I think iRate really does suit across the board. I think, as we were saying, it's got so many aspects. If it is just the research you want to go in there and just get that, it's going to work for you, but it's also going to work on a far higher level and complex level if you want it to help with that APL management, the compliance checking of, ratings of products and things. And it can go all the way through to helping you manage your portfolios, putting those portfolio comparisons, recommendations together. So it really is quite a powerful tool. It's about how far you want to take it in your business and where it can support you alongside the other, obviously, tools and everything you want to use. There is a lot there. There's those ninja users, I suppose, as we like to call them, that are in there with portfolio construction, and they're using it for all their client portfolios, their model portfolios. They're all in there. They're building out, when they've got to do the new review, a recommendation. This is where you are today. This is my new recommendation, side-by-side comparison. So it can be really quite powerful. And we see that feedback come through when people do start adopting and using it. They say sometimes it's a game changer for their business, and they're not, they don't want to go back to what they were doing previously in an Excel file, I guess. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing is, look, it's great, and we'll get to integration in a second, but it's great for us to go, but it'd be better if it was all in together. You know what, with these sort of tools, and I'm betting there's all sorts of wonderful graphical representations of those things and tables and all sorts of things. Yep. screenshots work a treat. Like you can screenshot a graph and drag it into your SOA or your advice document. So I've previously got a little caught up in making sure everything feeds in. When if the tool does the look and the feel of what you want and you just love it, just screenshot the outcome. Put it in the document.
Exactly
it's super easy.
And, a lot of our screens and those charts things available, they can come out in a Word template, a PowerPoint template, so you can copy and paste it into your SOA easily as well. So it's not necessarily that you have to even screenshot it. You can get the export in a better format to bring in and,
perfect.
do the good old copy and paste as well. So
yes, exactly. Well, and I guess that does cover sort of the integration. If the output can be in all these different versions, then that's probably what you're producing an advice doc in anyway. Most of them go out into a Word document or something like that. So it's then super easy to drag in. That's exciting. Does it integrate more closely with any other tools, iRate or anything like that?
Yeah, with iRate. So with iRate, so we've got Xplan and Midwinter. We've got the integrations there. So that's pulling through the ratings and the research reports, product profiles. So I suppose more when you've got the back office paraplan support in those tools, trying to bring together the SOA, they can check those ratings. They can get that information on the product without having to log into iRate themselves to go and get that research report. So there's those integrations there. And we are talking to other sort of software providers. And obviously, it's a changing market at the moment. There's new ones appearing all the time. So we're talking to them about what integrations we can do as well with other software providers as well.
Yeah, okay. And so in terms of then materials you might have as sort of part of the total offer that might be more client facing, I mean, I'm betting you've got market updates or, those sort of things. Are any of those tailored for clients or are most of them just specifically for the advice, the advisor themselves?
Yeah, most of it is for the advisor themselves. There are some elements. I suppose our job primarily is to make sure that we're helping the advisor look good in front of their clients. It's about giving them the insights and the information so they can have informed, insightful conversations. So we have those market updates that are available for the advisor on a regular basis, our strategic dynamic asset allocation views, what we think is happening in the market coming from our investment consulting team side as well. And then you've obviously got all the research reports. But saying that, some of our market insights we do put into a sort of more client-friendly newsletter that the advisors can use themselves, post on their website. We have clients that do put it onto their own websites, their portals for their clients to read, to give that very high level what's happened in the market's economic views as well. And then if you are in there using our portfolio construction tools, for example, you can get a client-facing portfolio report, which will give you an overview on where your portfolio is with different, you've got up to 20 different quantitative analysis, risk, return, profile, performance charts you can select to put in there to really tailor that report. And then there's customization, like being able to add a logo to those reports. So you can actually say, this is my work as well. It's branded with your advisor practice logo, which always looks good.
Yeah, okay, fantastic. All right, so there's a whole lot there. I mean, the sort of thing that I can see happening is you might have what I'm betting is quite detailed market reports there. They're going to be the very financy ones, and even if they are for clients, they're going to be quite detailed. Then an advisor could potentially do a little quick video, at the top of the newsletter that's their highlights of that, and then provide the rest of it for the people that want to go deep, so that you're sort of covering both ends of your client base.
Cover both ends, and we do have, like, say, a more detailed one, but then sort of the monthly one is quite short and brief, and then the client one we do try to keep sort of like literally 2 pages, so it is a bit more simplified. So we do try to, but again, that advisor being able to put their own commentary around it is obviously really powerful for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So in terms of then, I mean, you must have loads of current users that are in there. Then what do you think that people don't take advantage enough of? We've covered a few things, but is there anything else that you go, I can't believe people aren't, really utilizing this as much as we feel could add value to their practice? Yeah,
I mean, obviously, as Ed touched on, there are obviously those ones that help you with APL management, compliance, and sort of getting those alerts. But I think another one is we did launch a new tool this year, Products Like This. And that essentially is a tool which allows you to filter for a like set of products on similar characteristics to a product that you've already got in a portfolio that perhaps you need to replace for a client. Yeah, it's going to give you, in a matter of minutes, a universe of products on similar characteristics that you define to actually go, okay, this is my universe of 10 products to consider. Now, we all know that advisors were telling us that when they come to do a client review, the back office can spend so much time trying to find those like products, those recommendations. This is, for some people, they're saying, already taken an hour per client review off their research and putting that together. So if you add that up over a course of a year, that's really going to add significant savings for a business to free up their staff to be doing other things as well. So the products like this tool is probably the one, being a new feature as well. Obviously, we're really keen. We think it's got real value. We'd like to see our users really getting in there and trying it out.
Fantastic. And I believe you've also got the sustainability score there now. So that's something that is coming up for all of us, whether we've got clients that are particularly greeny or that way inclined. It still gets asked, doesn't it? So
exactly.
That's something that's a feature as well.
Definitely a big feature. And so we've got the sustainability score on products, alongside the traditional rating. And then also alongside that, we built in some features, I suppose, in the product search or when even using the products like this, that you can say there are particular characteristics or elements that advisors want to avoid, such as coal mining or something like that. So you can look at the material levels that the fund manager's saying they have investments in, and you can say exclude products that have a significant exposure to coal mining. So we're helping screen products that way for advisors, which is also really helpful in that universe space. So I think that's definitely an area where we'll see more focus and development, because it's, as you say, it's becoming such a big focus for the end clients. So advisors need that information.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's great that, tools like yours are starting to do that, because there's I can see it at two ends. One is a client specifically says it, and I've had that before. We don't want any coal or gas, like they have some sort of vigilance about something, and therefore we can use a tool like you're talking about there. I think the other end will be over time educating clients, like helping them understand what they care about, because they probably don't know that they can, they don't know that they can choose those things. And so I think then there'll be some sort of almost values-based questioning that'll, something like a score-based thing that'll help them work that out, so that then it can be applied across the portfolio.
I think it's very much, we're still at that stage where we still need that data to help us come through and get that information for us to be able to give it. So at the moment, it's very much a materiality. Roughly, they say they don't have it, but it's still very much a guideline at this stage. But at least we're helping filter that universe down for advisors to say, when they do have someone go, well, maybe I don't want to think about coal mining or tobacco. What else can I think about?
Absolutely. And as a rule, you're looking at what somebody currently has. So to be able to get that snapshot, and then compare it against, version B, whatever that alternative is.
And that product like this tool is really useful for that. So you can do that. You can go, okay, I've got this product today, but we know it's got a high level of tobacco, coal mining, whatever it is. Show me products that have a less, have a more immaterial exposure to it. It will give you that answer straight away.
That's fantastic. So, that is a huge time saver, because trying to wade through that can be a long and torturous BDM of fund manager exercise.
Oh, yeah, I understand, So at least you've got a starting point and a short list, and that's what we're trying to enable. We're trying to give that, some time-saving short lists that you can then go away and do that more in-depth research on, but you're not starting with a universe of, 100-plus products. You've got 10 or so. Absolutely,
because the list isn't getting shorter, is what I've realised.
Yes.
So it's getting longer, not shorter. So, anything that helps, bring that down and help it sort of, like you say, create a short list, I think is powerful. Is there anything on the development path, anything coming up that you guys are working on or that you're excited about that you'll be rolling out in the tool?
So we're always, I suppose for us, it's always looking at continual incremental improvements in iRate. So we're always looking at what we can do, whether it's a small feature, a big feature. As I mentioned, in the last sort of 12 months, we've had the new products like this tool. We did major updates in terms of the UX to try and refresh that and make that a bit more intuitive to people. Recently launched a new portal for our managed accounts side of the business. So all of that's sort of coming through. And then the feedback's very much about working with our clients. What do they see? Where are their pain points, to make sure we're identifying and bringing the right things through for them. So we have a working group of clients that we're looking at.
Fantastic.
Coming up, I think we're going to look at what we can do, perhaps a bit more on the personalization, customization options. Also it's probably a bit more about educating clients about what is there. So what I was just talking about, those time-saving tips, that APL management, the compliance management. I think we've got so many great features in iRate that we almost want to go back to helping clients use them and understand it and put that education piece together for people to really make sure they're maximizing it. And then another one I'm interested in, I think it's good to be looking at that commonality of holding style analysis across the group of products you're looking at. or a portfolio, make sure you've got that diversification. So there's something we're looking at in that space as well, what we could do there. I think it's exciting. And then, as you mentioned, we've got responsible investments. That's the key one that we're keeping an eye on, and we're working very closely with the research analysts and the team that are obviously doing a lot of work in that space, seeing what they're finding and how we can bring the information they're collecting into iRate for advisors to use as well. So it's very much across the business, what's happening in so many different areas, and where do we bring that all together for the advisor.
Yeah, that was perfect. I think we're quite a few episodes in now to the AdviceTech series of the podcast, and the consistent thing that stands out for me, and of course I'm the only one that's listened to all of them as yet, is none of us are using the current tool we have to its fulsome potential. Like there's so many things in the one we have already. When you're tech curious like I am, then I want new ones, which I think is a mistake. We need to take the time to become, super advanced users of the technology we have already. Yeah. Listeners, I would encourage you to reach out to Hannah and the team and really dive in, revisit what you know about the tool, get them to show you, maybe describe your process to date, and see if there's some things that I'm betting, Hannah, you and your team can identify. Well, wait a minute, do you realize if you did this, you wouldn't need to do those extra 2 steps, that sort of thing, which can free up so much time.
Exactly, and that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that people are maximising what they have already, and we're aware that we are adding features all the time, because every application, every software is constantly evolving. So people will not necessarily take advantage of things that have come in what they, over the last few years. So we really want to consolidate that for our users and for those new people coming on board as well. And Fantastic. Then, by having those conversations, we'll probably get even more ideas about what we could take those to the next step to help that advice practice become even more efficient, and, have those informed conversations with their clients, with our research and the recommendations they're gleaning out of iRate as well.
Perfect. Is there anything else we've sort of missed that we haven't caught or haven't covered, do you think?
I think that's really very good, very high level overview. I've said, look, there is a lot in iRate. Primarily, we are thought of as a research tool, and you're going in there and accessing the research, but there is so much more that iRate can do to help support those client conversations and build out those recommendations and help you, I suppose, as an advisor, streamline processes, simplify the demonstration of the best interest duty obligations and all those compliance obligations that advisors have had put on them in the last few years. And we know it's massive, and that everything we're trying to build in iRate is to try and help along those conversations and help simplify those processes. And technologies everywhere, coming in everywhere for advisors. There's new things, tools arriving all the time. So we get that finding the time to look at it is difficult. So my main thing I encourage you is pick up that phone, speak to us. We'll do a training session with you and make sure you really are getting the value. Or if you haven't used it, there's the complimentary 2-week trial. Take advantage of that. Get the training then.
Fantastic. And look, that's the way to get neck deep in something, right, is just to give it a whirl and to actively use, not sort of, I'll play for a few minutes, have a piece of advice you're doing and actually use it, and you'll rapidly work out where the value is. I think I was lucky enough to have a friend years ago who was a scientist, and the one thing she quickly taught me was there's a difference between research and evidence of research. Yeah. And I think that is something that using tools like iRate, we can just be doing research, or we can pull out all the evidence of the research that we did. And that's the difference, isn't it? That's the thing that's the big tick in compliance.
Evidence of research, that it's not just downloading the research report that says this product is highly recommended, it's on my APL. It's about, then you could take that to the next step and you could build your portfolio for your client. You can plug in their portfolio as it is today and put it next to the one you're recommending. You can show why it's stronger in terms of, it's better aligned to your risk profile. It's better aligned in terms of returns or the downside deviation. Okay, it's historic information, but it's shown you where those risks have been in the past and why we think we're protecting it, or we're giving you where you need to be with your goals if you want to take more risk as well. And the power is there in that, and you've got the evidence. Those reports can be downloaded, put to the client file for the reviews, and you've got it there. So
exactly. Definitely. I mean, it's something that's, coming up a fair bit, I bet, for out there is, with interest rates doing what they're doing, duration and things like that with interest rates is something that you're then looking at with certain funds, and to be able to show you have compared a few and can see the difference. And this is the thing I was looking at, like all of that's so valuable. And I just think it's good rigor for us anyway. I think that's a great, creating those structures where we consciously capture the research we did is just good practice generally, let alone from a best interest perspective.
And then it just helps you have those conversations with the client. If they're asking you, okay, I'm not sure about this, you can say, well, I've done that, I've looked at it, and I'm comfortable that this portfolio where it's positioned is going to help you. And you can just come in and you can just put the portfolio into iRate and run a few of those charts and just be comfortable that you've done that for your own benefit. You don't have to do it just at a review time or for a new client. You could come in at any point and do that.
All right, Advice Explorers. Well, if you'd like to find out more about Lonsec and iRate, then those links will be in the episode show notes, and take advantage of the 2 weeks trial. I think that'd be a great way to really check it out. And we'll also include the lovely Hannah's LinkedIn details so that you can, reach out and ask all sorts of questions, and she can probably point you in the right direction of where to get some training for your team and to learn more about the tool. Look, Hannah, thank you so much for joining us, and also taking the time to really dig into all the detail of the tool, and a great offering for advisors. And I sort of can't wait to see what else you guys will come up with in the future.
It's great. No, it's been great having you, Peita, and I look forward to anyone who's got any questions, just reach out. I'm always here to help, and the team are here to, make sure everyone's maximising that subscription or getting the most out of a trial as well.
Perfect. Well, you heard that here. It's now been recorded, folks. So reach out to Hannah. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you.
So, are you a current user of Lonsec? Do you agree or disagree with, what we covered and what we felt was some things to take a deeper look at? Please share any of those insights on the XY community platform, as we'd all love to hear your take. And any tips, I just discovered this, let's share them. Let's make sure we share them on the platform so that we can all get the benefit of your insights. In terms of my thoughts, then I guess what I'd say is it can be often be really worthwhile to take a look at how you use a tool like iRate and consider what tasks you do that have to be done per client, like it's unique per client, and what maybe can be collated on, say, a monthly basis or even a weekly basis, reviewed, collated, and then put somewhere. This could be the fund reports. It could be other things. We can often end up doing the same thing over and over again for each client, downloading a similar fund report, doing like all those sort of things. So stepping back and really considering any repetition in what you're doing can end up delivering you some real time savers. So just have a think about that, if there's any sort of batching you can do for any of that. Similarly, much of the sort of, extraction work or even data entry into a tool like this actually could initially be done by a member of the support staff, depending on how you're using the comparison tools or depending on how you're using any of those tools. Then with some really good training, some, videos walking through what you do, and then gradually revising the process with the support staff team member, then they'll really be able to get used to what you're looking for. And then, they can get it to a certain point, then hand over to you, so that then, you can continue on from there. This is a way to get some really serious bandwidth out of a tool like this, separating out the entry or the collation or the tidying from the deep analysis and the insights. So, we can often make the mistake that, once the process reaches analysis and advice, right, that it just sits with the advisor or the paraplanner and it's just automatic. All elements of that sit with them, but other team members have a role to play to really streamline and prepare things before you get to them. So just keep that in mind. Okie dokie. So for today's Curiosity Corner, where we build our curiosity muscle by sort of checking out a new out of left field app that I've come across, I'd love you to take a looky-loo at Text Expander. Now, you can find Text Expander at textexpander.com, funnily enough. Now, this is to be used for anything you regularly type that can be replaced by a few keystrokes, right? So basically a sentence, a paragraph, many paragraphs, or even a word can simply be replaced with a couple of letters or a backslash and a couple of letters. This could be the friendly intro you always type in an email. It could be the directions to the office you drop into an email sometimes. It could be the link with some instructions on how to make an appointment with your scheduling app. It could be couple of paragraphs you've come up with about current market conditions, ready to respond if you get some queries. Could be the outline of a file note with the headings and prompts ready for you to just fill in as you need it. How about PDS links? Instead of having the full thing, you could just be a little keystroke and it would type the whole thing. This can be used in spreadsheets too. Is there a date you always enter, or even interacting with team members? If you use an internal chat tool and there's a response you often give that's describing something or explaining something, then that can be keystrokes. This doesn't just apply to advisors either. What about members of the admin team? And in fact, admin people can, once they understand the tool and they get their heads around it, often they completely past us in terms of the value they can get out of it. They do a lot of typing, they do a lot of data entry and filling in forms, those sort of things, and Text Expander can do a wonderful job for them. Top users of this tool can save over 7 hours a week. Seriously. So from this point on, just start looking at the things you have to type a lot. Just absorb the fact, what are the things that I'm doing that a lot with? Maybe it's even words you mistype a lot. Make them a shortcut so you never have to type them twice again. So I'd encourage you to check it out. Well, that's all we've got for this week. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you'll get your AdviceTech fix automatically sent to you each Friday. And if you'd like a speaker at your next event to brief your audience on the 7 habits of bionic advisors and the secrets to tech-powered human-centric advice, then please reach out to me on LinkedIn /PeitaMD. That's PEITAMD. Otherwise, I'll look forward to turning up in your earbuds next week. And remember, Advice Explorers, stay curious.